प्रातः स्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वम् सच्चित् सुखं परमहं सगतिं तुरीयम् यत् स्वप्नजागरसुषुप्तिमवैति नित्यम् तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः तपोभिक्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणां मुमुक्षूणामपेक्षोऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते बोधोऽन्यसाधनेभ्यो हि साक्षान्मोक्षैकसाधनम् पाकस्य वह्निवज्ञानम् विना मोक्षो न सिद्ध्यति। Hari Om. Welcome back once again to our study of the gems of Bhagavad Gita. Yesterday हमने अर्जुन के प्रश्न के बारे में चर्चा की थी. We were talking about Arjuna's question in towards the end of chapter 5 to Bhagavan, where Arjuna asks a very pertinent question कि भगवान आप ध्यान योग की बात कर रहे हो, आप इस योगा ऑफ इक्वानिमिटी की बात कर रहे हो, पर मुझे नहीं लगता कि ये टिक पाएगा. मुझे नहीं लगता कि मैं माइंड को कंट्रोल कर पाऊंगा, क्योंकि माइंड के ये गुण है. क्या है? माइंड अस्थिर है, माइंड चंचल है. द माइंड इज टर्ब्यूलेंट, द माइंड इज स्ट्रांग, द माइंड इज ऑब्स्टिनेट. किसी की नहीं मानता, किसी की नहीं मानता. अगर मन को कुछ चाहिए तो वो पा करके ही रहेगा, वो चिढ़ जाएगा, वो रोने लगेगा. दैट्स द नेचर ऑफ द माइंड. इफ यू डोंट गेट व्हाट यू वांट, it will create tantrums. So that's the very nature of the mind. And इस मन को कैसे काबू करें, इस मन को कैसे काबू में लाएं? How do we bring it under the control? How do we forget meditation? How do we even control this mind? I don't think it can be controlled. See, Arjuna's question is pertinent, but he's also being a sanshayatma. He's being a doubting person. See, any student, initially, once they become receptive, once they are in an emotional state. See, Bhagwan's first priority was to bring Arjuna into a state to ask a question. Initially, he was not in the state, and it was very clear from the kind of questions he was asking. His limbs were shaking, his limbs were trembling, his mouth was parched, he was unable to speak, unable to see. वो उस स्थिति में कैसे कुछ समझ पाएगा? तो उसे समझने की स्थिति तक पहुंचाने के लिए भगवान ने हमें चैप्टर 2 में, चैप्टर 3 में हमें ऐसा ज्ञान दिया. And slowly we see the kind of questions he is asking are becoming more and more relevant, less ridiculous. पहले तो एकदम ही मतलब आप दोनों सेनाओं के बीच में खड़े हो, युद्ध के मैदान में, आप कैसे क्वेश्चंस पूछ रहे हो? It was very clear that he was not in a state to fight. He was not in a state, he was in a very emotional state. But slowly his questions become more and more sensible. But even though it is sensible, it is doubtful. He is presenting a spanner in the works. He is presenting a doubt. He's almost in a pessimistic way. Almost in a pessimistic way. वो चाह रहे हैं कि आर्गुमेंट हो. Sometimes initially students will want this. देखिए, प्रश्नेन का ये मतलब नहीं है कि आप आर्ग्यू करो. You shouldn't look for argument with the teacher. You shouldn't look for argument with the other. The spirit behind the question always should be to try to understand what the other person is saying. That is all. The spirit behind the question should be to try to understand where the other person is coming from. You may agree or disagree with it. That is a different point. You may agree or disagree with it. But to question, the purpose of questioning, the reason it is a quality of a good student, प्रश्नेन का क्या महत्व होता है? That spirit that I want to understand what you are saying. आप question कई reasons के लिए कर सकते हो. आप question challenge करने के लिए कर सकते हो. आपको आंसर में कोई दिलचस्पी नहीं है, यू आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड इन द आंसर, आप सिर्फ क्वेश्चन करने के लिए क्वेश्चन कर रहे हैं। दूसरे के थॉट फ्लो में बाधा डालने के लिए आप क्वेश्चन कर रहे हो, आप छोटी सी छोटी छोटी बात लेकर के घुमा रहे हो। दैट हैपेंस यूजुअली इन कॉन्वर्सेशंस अमंग पीपल। One person will try to pick up on the slightest of things the other person has said. But तुमने तो ये कहा था, कैसे कह दिया तुमने ये? हाँ, तुम ये कहना चाह रही हो, इसका this is what you mean. छोटी सी छोटी बात को लेकर के वो अपने ईगो के साथ खेलेंगे। That's the problem. So you have to have an art. If you are in the position of communicating knowledge, if you are a teacher, if you are anybody who's trying to communicate something to another person, you have to be very aware of the ego of the other person. The art of communication, the art of communication is an incredible quality. Living is an art. Living is an art. All of this is an art. Mind control is an art. Mind control doesn't just come like that. Anything we want to progress, anything we want to achieve in life, it requires practice. It requires dedication. It requires sincere effort. बस ऐसे कुछ नहीं मिलता। आप कुछ भी चाहो, forget spirituality, कुछ भी चाहो दुनिया में भी, पैसा चाहो, पैसा कमाना चाहो, कुछ बिजनेस खड़ा करना चाहो, it takes time and effort. Anything gained quickly also goes away quickly. Anything gained quickly goes away quickly. Anything that lasts takes time, takes effort. So if you want to create something, if you want to build something, if you want to achieve something, it is an art. It is, you have to apply the technique. Similarly for mind control, even more for mind control. आप दुनिया में कुछ भी पाने के लिए समय और एफर्ट डालते हो, माइंड कंट्रोल के लिए समय और एफर्ट क्यों नहीं डालते हो? आप सोचते हो नहीं हो जाना चाहिए। Just because we have lived 35, 40, 50 years with a mind doesn't mean we know how to control it. Just because we've lived 40 years doesn't mean we know how to live. Living is an art. Mind control is an art. How do you do it? Bhagavan is giving us this direction in this shlok, what we covered yesterday. First of all, he controlled Arjuna's ego. He had that art. He had the skill. He didn't challenge it. Arjuna wants an argument, or almost feels like Arjuna wants an argument. He didn't challenge it. He didn't challenge the ego. He said, I agree with you. You're right. The first thing you can do in order to make someone receptive, in order to douse the flames of an argument, जब दूसरा बंदा लड़ने के लिए तैयार है और आप झगड़ा नहीं चाहते हो, first thing to do, I agree with you. I agree with you, doubtless. एकदम सही कहा आपने. The mind is restless and difficult to control. Oh Mahabaho. But a warrior like you, Mahabaho, the greatest of warriors, Mahabaho, a warrior like you can fight it. A warrior like you can achieve it. वहां पे भी ईगो के साथ खेल रहे हैं. तुम तो महान वॉरियर हो, क्षत्रिय हो. You can do it. I believe you. This is an essential skill. Even when you're dealing with children, this is an essential skill. Instead of challenging them, instead of going logic, you cannot use logic against an ego. You cannot use logic against an emotion. Please learn this. Please learn this. You cannot use logic against ego. You cannot use logic against emotion. With ego, you have to use manipulation. With emotion, you have to use emotion. With ego, you have to use manipulation. With emotion, you have to use emotion. When someone is able to keep their emotion aside, their ego aside, and come with a fresh plate, come with all sincerity to learn, then you give knowledge. So knowledge only works when a person wants to learn, when a person is not emotional, when a person has the humility. That's only when knowledge works. When there is ego in the way, when there is emotion in the way, you have to use different techniques. You have to use different techniques. पहले भी बताया था चैप्टर 3 में, पहले अर्जुन को समझाया गया और समझाने पर जब वो नहीं समझा तो बहलाया गया, उसको बड़ी बड़ी बातें कही गई, उसे ईगो ट्रिप में भेजा भगवान ने, और जब वो भी काम नहीं कर रहा था, देन भगवान ने डराया, इमोशंस के साथ खेल, भगवान ने धमकाया. So these are all techniques you have to use. Here Bhagwan is using these two techniques. Doubtless, I agree with you. The mind is restless. It is difficult to control. But oh Mahabaho, it can be controlled. It's possible. You have to believe in yourself. You are the greatest warrior. You have to believe in yourself. Anything in life, it's not easy. Anything in life takes effort. Anything in life, anything worthwhile in life takes effort. So this too can be achieved with effort by practice and dispassion. अभ्यास और वैराग्य. अभ्यास क्या है? अभ्यास is what we have been talking about. अभ्यास योग. अभ्यास means कर्म, भक्ति, ज्ञान. अभ्यास means कर्म, भक्ति, ज्ञान. इन 3 डिसिप्लिन्स को आपको परफेक्ट करना पड़ेगा, डे इन डे आउट, डे इन डे आउट. एंड इनको परफेक्ट करने के समय it takes time. There'll be a lot of obstructions, there'll be a lot of confusions. What is the purpose of going to an ashram? What is the purpose of going to an ashram? The purpose of going to an ashram is to bring yourself to an environment जहां कोई distractions ना हो, जहां आप इन बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट्स को क्लियर कर सको अपने लिए और प्रैक्टिस कर सको थोड़ी बहुत. You have to start practicing it. You have to give yourself a taste, a feeler. You have to give yourself a proof of concept. हम में से जो बिजनेस में है, हम में से जो प्रोजेक्ट्स करते हैं अपने बिजनेस में, we understand what this term means. It's called proof of concept. Before plunging into the whole project, आप initially थोड़ी experiment करो, थोड़ा practice करो. This is why we go to an ashram. This is the value of an ashram. This was the value of Vedanta Academy. This is the value of Gita Academy. Not to park yourself there, not to make it your permanent residence, no. But a very, very important brief time you must spend in a place where there is no other distraction. Otherwise, you won't be able to do this practice. Otherwise, there'll be too many things dragging you away. You have to find a place where you can begin, first of all, understanding what the yogas are. हम तो समझते भी नहीं है कर्म क्या है, भक्ति क्या है, ज्ञान क्या है. You need some amount of effort to even understand what are the yogas and then begin to practice it. अभ्यास, proof of concept. And जब थोड़ी बहुत अभ्यास हो जाए, थोड़ी बहुत अभ्यास से conviction आती है, थोड़ी बहुत अभ्यास से conviction आती है, then you can step out and continue practicing it. That's the idea. That's the idea. You can become self-sufficient in trying to practice it day in, day out. Whenever you leave the ashram, you leave with a lot of inspiration. Yeah, what amazing time I spent. Now I will set my life right. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. The idea is to carry on with that inspiration, carry on with that conviction. So abhyas, ye mind control easily nahi hoga. The entire world is trying to distract your mind. The entire world is trying to distract your mind. It is what it is. सारे एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स क्या कर रहे हैं? आपके मन को बहला रहे हैं, आपके मन को अट्रैक्ट कर रहे हैं. They're dragging your senses. Your senses are pulling your mind away. One new object, new iPhone, new laptop, new clothes, new bags, new this, new that. सारी जगह इतने सारे स्टिमुला हैं, इतने सारे एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स हैं. क्या हो रहा है आपके मन के साथ? आपके डिजायर्स के साथ दुनिया खेल रही है. They are trying to instigate you, provoke you, because they want your money. They want your money. What is intelligent marketing? If I ask for your money, you won't give it. But if I try to attract you with something, you will give me all your money. Before we know it, shopping करने जाओ. Before you know it, एक दो चीज लेने गए और 6 खरीद के आ गए. So the world is constantly challenging your mind and its desires. If your intellect is not strong, the mind will be dragged. The mind will be dragged, and what will happen? You went to buy one, you'll buy six, and then you'll feel a sense of guilt. मुझे नहीं करना चाहिए. Today I went out of control. And when you lose control, you'll feel guilty. When you lose control, you'll feel guilty. The world is trying to entice you at every level, material level, physical level, emotional level, intellectual level. अभी क्या चल रहा है intellectual level पे? Give your kids coding classes. Now that's the rage. पूरी advertising market parents के emotions के साथ खेल रही है. To give their kids coding classes. पहले हम सोचे थे IIT, JEE, ये वो इतना pressure डालते हैं parents kids के ऊपर. Up coding classes. This is the new craze. What are they doing? They're trying to instigate your mind, create a sense of fear. If your kid doesn't learn how to code, if your kid doesn't learn how to do computer programming, problem हो जाएगी. And if he does, ये 4 week का course कर ले, his life will be set. ख्वाब दिखाते हैं. ये marketing ख्वाब दिखाती है. So everything in the world, not only material, physical, emotional, every level पे आपके माइंड को चैलेंज कर रही है दुनिया. सो माइंड कंट्रोल इज डिफिकल्ट इफ यू ट्राई टू स्टार्ट इट विदाउट एनी हेल्प. Mind control is difficult if you try to start it without any help. Initially, you need some support. You need the support of these classes. You need the support of these satsangs. You need the support maybe of going for some time to an ashram or to a place where it's conducive, where there is no distraction from the world. That's practice. And practice के द्वारा क्या जागृत होगा आप में? हमने देखा है all of chapter 4 and 5. Practice के द्वारा वैराग्य जागृत होता है. Practice के द्वारा dispassion आती है. थोड़ा practice करो, अभ्यास करो, dispassion पैदा होगी. और जितना dispassion पैदा होगा और भी practice करने की क्षमता बढ़ेगी. और भी practice करने की क्षमता बढ़ेगी. So dispassion arises from practice. A sense of dispassion. Abhi, what is dispassion? Remember, don't misunderstand this word. This is one of the most misunderstood. Vairagya is one of the most misunderstood words. Dispassion doesn't mean disinterest. Dispassion doesn't mean disinterest. Dispassion doesn't mean uncaring. Dispassion doesn't mean away from the world. No. Dispassion is that state. Abhi aapka man is controlled by its passions. Abhi, your mind is uncontrolled by the force of passions. Your passions have developed into a vega, a force. Your passions, your desires, your feelings have developed into a force, an uncontrolled force. When you are able to control and regulate that force, automatically you turn dispassionate. With a little bit of knowledge, when you've become dispassionate towards toys, you've become dispassionate towards fancy cars and fancy bicycles. You've become dispassionate towards partying. When you're a teenager, you love to party. You become dispassionate towards it. What is that state? You understand. It's for kids. वो बच्चों के लिए. You don't criticize it. You understand its place. You look back at all these things you did with joy. But you also understand, I'm not going to waste my time on it. I'm going to intelligently use my time. I'm not going to waste my time on it. When you were a child, all your time went into play. When you were a youth, all your time went into party. But you've grown up. You've become a little dispassionate towards it. It doesn't control you. It doesn't control the way you feel. That's dispassion. So dispassion is not disinterest. Dispassion is not running away from it. You're in the world. You're in the midst of things with that spirit, with that shift of value. So dispassion arises from practice. जैसे जितना आप कर्म भक्ति ज्ञान करोगे, आपकी डिजायर्स कम होंगी. जैसे ही डिजायर्स कम होंगी, वो फोर्स, वो वेग जो है, वो प्रेशर जो है, will reduce. And जैसे वो pressure reduces, automatically dispassion will arise. So the more you practice, the more dispassion will arise. The more dispassion arises, the more able you become to practice. अभी प्रैक्टिस करने के लिए आपकी जिंदगी में कितनी बाधाएं आती हैं. Sir, I can't come to class today. Why? Because I have to go to dinner out here. I have to go to lunch out here. Tomorrow I am traveling. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. इतने सारे interests हैं, इतने सारे engagements हैं, इतने सारे passions हैं आपके. They are all coming in the way of your practice. A guru doesn't criticize. A guru understands everybody is at their level. A guru doesn't criticize. Everybody is at their level. They will do what is fit for them at their level. If you have a lot of desires, you will be helplessly dragged to the world. But as your desires reduce, these passions reduce, you will have more and more time and space. There'll be less of a pressure. It'll help you on your practice. So this is how you accelerate on the spiritual path. This is how you accelerate in the technique of mind control. It is possible. So Bhagavan gives this wonderful, wonderful reassurance. It is possible. इसके बाद हम देखते हैं कि अर्जुन वापस एक क्वेश्चन करता है. अच्छा ठीक है, पॉसिबल है भगवान, बट अगर ऐसा हो कि मैं इस पाथ में आगे बढ़ूं, and I don't reach the end of it, I don't reach the goal, I don't achieve samadhi, I progress on this, yes, I control my mind, I reach a certain stage, but मेरी meditation successful नहीं होती है, तब क्या होता है? Is it all a waste of time? Do I have to start all over again? Is it all worthless? What happens? So Arjun again is developing that. He's asking it in a spirit of doubt, in a spirit of fear, little bit of fear. He's trying to create a spanner in the works. So he asks this pessimistic question. He's being pessimistic. What happens? Do I lose it all? Is it not going to be worth it? And Bhagavan gives another reassurance, a very, very famous verse, which we will see in the next shlok. The Lord's assurance in verse number 40, a very inspiring verse. And if you can, get this by heart. If you can, get this by heart. Verse number 40, chapter 6. Shri Bhagavan Partha naiveha namutra vinashastasya vidyate nahi kalyana krit kaschet durgatim tata gacchati. Shri Bhagavan Partha naiveha namutra vinashastasya vidyate nahi kalyana krit kaschet durgatim tata gacchati. So Shri Bhagavan बोले, Bhagavan is answering to Arjuna, हे पार्थ, नहीं यहां और नहीं कहीं अन्यत्र उसका विनाश होता है, क्योंकि हे पार्थ, किसी भी कल्याण करने वाले की कभी दुर्गति नहीं होती. O Partha, neither here nor hereafter is there destruction for him. None who does good, O beloved, comes to grief. Hey Partha, anybody who is dedicated on the spiritual path, anybody who progresses, there is no destruction for him. There is no destruction of effort. जो भी आप effort डालते हो, it is not going to waste. At the time of going, Kale, at the time of saying Tata bye-bye to this world, you will leave your body behind. You will leave your people behind, your emotional relationships behind. You leave all of this worldly knowledge behind. But what will you carry forward with you? What you will carry forward with you is the spiritual knowledge. This spiritual knowledge, once it settles into you, to whatever extent, अगर आपने 20% समझा हो, अगर आपने 20% समझा हो और ये 20% आप में बस गया है, ये 20% आप आगे ले जाते हो. There is no destruction of effort. There is no loss of effort. भगवान चैप्टर 3 में भी यही गारंटी देते थे. इन्होंने दिया था चैप्टर 3 में. There is no loss of effort on this path. यहाँ वापस he's giving that guarantee. There is no destruction. Don't worry. whatever effort you put right now is not going to go to win, even if you don't reach the end, even if you don't reach the ultimate end. And आगे हम समझाएंगे that you are very close, you are very close to the goal, you're not that far. You are the creme de la creme of human beings. The very fact that you are sitting here right now means that you are very far on this path. You have come a long way. It's no joke. It's no joke. You must become aware. Why are you sitting here? What has brought you here? You are here because of desires in you. So what are the kind of desires in you? It takes a long time. It takes a lot of effort to develop these desires, which you have today, which I have today. It's not a casual thing. So you have come a long way on this path. So don't worry. There is no destruction. There is no destruction. You will live on. This knowledge which you have, this path you are on, it will carry on. Don't worry. And what is more, anybody on this journey, none who does good, who develops unselfishness, who develops the spirit of devotion and dedication, who develops the spirit of oneness with one and all, who lives for loka sangraha, basically one who applies this knowledge in his life. The moment you apply this knowledge in your life, you become unselfish, you become selfless. It's natural. Verily, none who does good, oh beloved, comes to grief. उसकी कभी दुर्गति नहीं होती, उसकी कभी दुर्गति नहीं होती. There's a caveat here. There's a caveat here. You cannot come to the path to protect you from दुर्गति. आप यहाँ अपने आप को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए नहीं आ सकते. अगर वो आपकी एटीट्यूड है, that's a wrong attitude. You must only come to this path with the spirit to grow, with the spirit to evolve. When you have that attitude and when you dedicate yourself to that, this is the result. What is the result? आपकी कभी दुर्गति नहीं होगी. भगवान ने गारंटी दी है यहाँ. He is giving that assurance. Nothing will happen to you. Nothing will happen to you. Right now we are all afraid. मेरा क्या होगा? Will people take care of me? Will I be taken care of? What will happen to me? What will happen to my life? How will I proceed? How will I progress? Will it work out? Once you are established on this journey, you have to be established on this journey. That's the caveat. Once you are established on this journey, Bhagwan gives an assurance. There is no need to worry. There is no need to worry. This is the highest insurance, the best insurance. The best insurance plan for your life is Bhagavad Gita, is Vedanta. Here, Bhagwan is giving that guarantee. Nothing will happen to you. Everything will work out. Don't worry. Everything will work out. And whatever challenging situations come, ऐसा नहीं है कि challenging situations नहीं आएंगे. दुर्गति नहीं आएगी कि ये मतलब नहीं कि चैलेंजिंग सिचुएशंस नहीं आएंगे, बट इस नॉलेज के द्वारा आप में एक क्षमता पैदा होगी, एक पावर आपको मिलेगा, अ पावर यू कैन नॉट अंडरस्टैंड इफ यू आर नॉट एस्टैब्लिश्ड. You will gain that strength, you will gain that ability, you will gain that objectivity to rise above any hurdle in life. You will gain that ability to rise above any hurdle in life. Don't be afraid of hurdles. Don't think, हाँ भगवान के पास आओगे तो hurdles नहीं आएंगी. Most people come with that attitude. If you come with that attitude, it will not work. भगवान मुझे बचा लो, भगवान मुझे बचा लो, मेरी कठिनाइयां दूर करो, मेरी कष्ट हटाओ. भगवान से जुड़ने की इच्छा रखो. भगवान की से जुड़ने की इच्छा रखो, सारे कष्ट हट जाएंगे. पर अगर आप भगवान को दलाल समझते हो, भगवान मेरे लिए ये कर लो, भगवान मेरे लिए वो कर लो. What is your desire? Your desire is not to join with God. Your desire is not to attain self-realization. Your desire is not to attain spiritual evolution. You have turned भगवान into a dalal. भगवान मेरे लिए ये कर लो, भगवान मेरे लिए वो कर लो, मैं इतना चढ़ाऊंगा, मैं इतना करूंगा, मैं आपके लिए यहाँ जाऊंगा, मैं आपके लिए वहां जाऊंगा, मेरे लिए ये कर लो. आपकी इच्छा क्या है? आपकी इच्छा अपनी कठिनाइयों से मुक्त होना है, वो आपकी इच्छा है. एंड आप भगवान को एक एजेंट समझ रहे हो. आप अपने आप तो कठिनाइयां नहीं हटा सकते, कोई भी नहीं मिला दुनिया में कि आपकी कठिनाइयां को हटा दे, एंड दैट्स व्हाई यू आस्किंग भगवान प्लीज डू इट। आप अपनी प्रॉब्लम्स आउटसोर्स कर रहे हो भगवान को, दैट इज नॉट द राइट एटीट्यूड। तब ये नहीं चलेगा, देन दिस विल नॉट वर्क। बट व्हेन यू हैव दैट राइट एटीट्यूड ऑन द स्पिरिचुअल पाथ, I am here, my purpose is to evolve. The very fact that I am a human being, I have been gifted with the buddhi. My purpose here is to build my buddhi, control my mind, turn unselfish, and evolve spiritually. When that is the attitude, when you live with an attitude of gratitude, I have been given so much, now I have to give back. I am constantly receiving. I am constantly receiving. I have received this beautiful body. I have received this beautiful mind, this beautiful buddhi. I have received this beautiful environment. These beautiful people are in my lives. So many things are helping me on my journey. I am receiving so much. My duty is to give back. When you develop that attitude, one who does good, this is what he means, जो सबका कल्याण करते हैं, कल्याण करने की स्थिति तक आप कैसे पहुंचेंगे? When you have this attitude in life, when you have this little bit of knowledge established in yourself, when all of this settles in you, and when you pursue this path, when you progress on this path with full dedication, Bhagwan gives a guarantee, you will not come to grief. Not by chanting the Lord's name mechanically. मैकेनिकल चैंटिंग से कुछ नहीं होगा। हाँ, ये चाहिए तो हर ट्यूसडे, हर थर्सडे ये पाठ करो। आई एम नॉट बिलिटलिंग द पाठ। आप ये मत समझो कि मैं पाठ को बिलिटल कर रहा हूँ। उन पाठ में, उन मंत्रों में बहुत पावर है। मैं आपकी एटीट्यूड की बात कर रहा हूँ। आपकी एटीट्यूड क्या है? क्या आपकी एटीट्यूड प्रॉब्लम से मुक्त होना है, या आपकी एटीट्यूड भगवान से युक्त होना है? आपकी एटीट्यूड क्या है? जब आपकी एटीट्यूड भगवान से युक्त होने की हो, तब दुर्गति नहीं है। You will be taken care of. Don't worry. The universe will work in mysterious ways. The universe will work in mysterious ways. It does work in mysterious ways. No effort is lost. कौन इंश्योर कर रहा है? आज के दिन में आप अपने बैंक में पैसे डालते हो, there is a very very big complex safe system that is assuring कि अगर आप पैसे डालते हो तो वो आपके अकाउंट तक पहुंचते हैं। अगर आप पैसे डालते हो तो वो आपके अकाउंट तक पहुंचते हैं। There's a big gamble कि अब आप किसी को भी पैसे नहीं देते हो। आप किसी को भी पैसे नहीं देते हो। You don't want your effort to be lost. You don't want your effort to be lost. So that trust is gained. That trust is gained with a lot of work. Banks make a lot of effort to make sure the systems are secure. The systems में कोई hack नहीं करता है, so that when you put the money, you are assured कि वो पैसा कहीं जाए नहीं, वो पैसा वहीं रहे, वो पैसा deposit हो जाए. There is no effort lost. Similarly, आप यहाँ पे कितनी effort डाल रहे हो, भगवान ये guarantee देते हैं, there is no effort lost. इसे कौन चला रहा है? It works in mysterious ways. Bhagwan gives a guarantee. No effort will be lost, and you will not come to grief. I will make sure if you put in effort on this path, if you put in effort on this path, you will progress. If not in this Janma, if you don't achieve the goal in this Janma, you will carry on in the next Janma. And how will you carry on? How will you carry on? We see in verse number 41 and 42. 41 and 42, we can take it together. First of all, you will be born among the wealthy and prosperous. If you don't complete your journey right now, in this lifetime, you will be born among wealth and prosperity. Verse number 41. Prapya punyakritam lokan poshitva shashvati samaha shuchinam shrimatam gehe yoga bhrashto bhijayate. Prapya punyakritam lokan उषित्वा शाश्वती समाहा शुचि नाम श्रीमताम गेहे योग भ्रष्टो भी जायते. योगा भ्रष्ट पुण्य लोकों को प्राप्त होकर बहुत वर्षों तक वहां वास करके शुद्धात्मा श्रीमानों के घर जन्म लेते हैं. Having attained the worlds of the righteous and having dwelt there for eternal years, He who has fallen from yoga is born in the home of the pure and wealthy. First of all, जब आप इस path पे आते हो, you will dwell in the worlds of the righteous. You will dwell in heaven. Heaven is a state of mind. Heaven is a state of pleasure and peace in your mind. When you progress on this path, your mind will be peaceful and calm and content. You will be in heaven. Your mind will be in a heavenly state. And when you're in a heavenly state, आपको कोई टेंशन नहीं है टाइम के बारे में. जब आप एजिटेटेड हो, जब आप वरिड हो, आपको टाइम की बड़ी टेंशन होती है. बट व्हेन यू आर इन अ हेवनली स्टेट, आपको याद ही नहीं रहता कुछ. यू डोंट इवन हैव द अवेयरनेस ऑफ टाइम. आप सोचते नहीं क्या हो रहा है, क्या होने वाला है. यू आर जस्ट इन अ काम एंड कंटेंट स्टेट. So you have no concept of time in heaven. In that sense, so long as you are in heaven, you have no conception of time. Suddenly, when you snap out of heaven, तो आपको याद आता है, अरे अरे इतना समय बीत गया. But so long as you are in that heaven, it feels like eternal years. So when you evolve and you reach a state, your mind becomes peaceful, calm, content, free from agitation. You are in heaven for eternal years. But if you haven't attained that perfection, अगर अभी भी desires हैं, कामनाएं हैं, अगर आप 100% गोल तक नहीं पहुंचोगे, then you will be reborn. You will be reborn. That is the mechanics of life. You and I are here today. We have taken birth because we have vasanas. Our vasanas made us take birth. Our desires made us take birth. Where we are, how we are. So long as you have vasanas, this journey, this cycle of birth and death will continue. So similarly, a person who evolves spiritually enjoys heaven, enjoys bliss. But if he doesn't reach the end is full freedom from vasanas, no desires, transcending all desires. If he doesn't reach that goal, if he still has some vasanas, he will be born again. But because he has lesser vasanas, because he has progressed on this path, because he has put in the effort, life will help him. The universe will help him. How? If you have fallen from yoga, you will still be born into the home of the pure and wealthy. You will be born into the home of pure. Pure means where there is higher values. Where there are higher values, there is peace and prosperity. Where there are no higher values, there is a lot of agitation. There's a lot of fight. There's a lot of tension. Rare is a family that is peaceful and prosperous. Without prosperity, without wealth, you will have a lot of problems. Wealth is very important. Don't think, oh, spirituality says wealth is bad. No, wealth is very important on the spiritual path. If you don't have wealth, there'll be a lot of insecurities. Your mind will be very distracted. If you don't know where your next meal is coming from, your mind is always distracted. Your first priority is to gain that wealth. So wealth gives a reassurance, or at least wealth is meant to give a reassurance. Our hope is that there will come a time when you have sufficient wealth, when you will ask, Acha, now what? Ab kya? So when you are born into wealth, it is conducive for your spiritual growth. It is not essential. And there's no guarantee that just because you're wealthy, you will be spiritual. No. But when you have wealth, जब आपके पास पैसा है, जब आपके पास enough है, कोई value नहीं है इसमें. 1 crore, 10 crore, 20 crore. There's no value for this. Wealth is a state of mind. Wealth is a state of mind. When you feel like you have enough, you are wealthy. When you don't feel like you have enough, when your desires are more than your possession, when your desires exceed your possession, you are poor. You could have 10 crores, but you have desire for 100 crores. With 10 crores, you want to buy a yacht, means you have to take a loan. With 10 crores, you want a very, very lavish lifestyle. You want to buy a house in Dubai. You are very poor. Why? Because your desires are exceeding your possessions. But when you have reduced desires, then 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs is also enough. क्या करेंगे इस पैसे? That feeling, that's all I'm saying. There's no number to it. आपका जो नंबर है, आप अपने दिमाग में ये समझ लो, आपका क्या नंबर है. It's a good exercise. Please decide in your mind. Please decide in your mind a reasonable number. There's no fixed number. ऐसा नहीं है कि इससे नीचे रहोगे तो स्पिरिचुअल रहोगे, इससे ऊपर रहोगे तो आप मंडेन वर्ल्डली हो जाओगे. नहीं, ऐसी बात नहीं है. For your own needs, for your own desires, please decide a number. With the understanding that wealth is not everything. आप कितना ढूंढोगे, आप कितना कमाओगे, there's no end to it. But to have a reasonable, comfortable existence, what is enough for you? Just have that. Everybody will have some number in mind. So you have that number in mind. That's a good exercise. When you have that number in mind and when you plan and program your life accordingly, कि मुझे इस हिसाब से जीना है. I want to keep my desires, I want to keep my needs, my expectations within my wealth. Then you are wealthy. So rarely is there a family that is truly wealthy. Because even where there is wealth, there is greed. Even where there is wealth, there is fighting, there is conflict, because people are greedy, people are selfish, people have other desires, people always want to take from others, people are always jealous of others. So physical wealth is not a guarantee of wealthy. Wealth is a state of mind. So you'll be born into a family that is genuinely feels wealthy, not only has the wealth but also feels wealthy. Its desires are controlled, it doesn't have unreasonable, incredible desires. And at the same time, they are pure. They have higher values. They are peaceful. So very rarely do you find a family which has both of these, let alone one of these. So when you progress on the spiritual path and you don't complete your goal, you will be born in the next life. And where will you be born? Into an environment like this. And why? Because this kind of environment will be helpful for your journey ahead. This kind of environment will be helpful for your journey ahead. Nature is helping you. Nature is helping you. And when you progress further, when you develop more and more unselfishness, when you reduce your desires further through karma, bhakti, jnana, what will happen? Bhagavan says in verse number 42, which we will quickly chant. We don't have enough time to complete the entire verse. We will take it up tomorrow, but we'll chant it today. Verse number 42, you will be born into a family of wise yogis. You will be born into a family of wise yogis. Athava yoginameva kule bhavati dhimatam etad durlabhataram loke janma yadidrisham. Athava yoginameva kule bhavati dhimatam etad durlabhataram लोके जन्म यदीदृशम. अथवा बुद्धिमान योगियों के कुल में जन्म लेता है, ऐसा जन्म संसार में निस्संदेह दुर्लभ है. और further, he is born into a family of wise yogis only. Verily, a birth such as this is very difficult to obtain in the world. When you progress further on the path, through wealth and prosperity, when you gain more and more conviction to progress on the journey, and you still don't succeed, still don't reach the end, you will be born into a family of wise yogis. Yogis whose only goal is spiritual evolution. Imagine when anybody in your family, your parents, your brother, your sister, your friends, anybody around you, their only goal was spiritual evolution, nothing else. That is the highest environment. That is the greatest support you can get for your own journey. That is the greatest support you can get for your own journey. We'll discuss this verse in detail tomorrow, but I'll leave you with a thought. Leave you with a thought. Birth and death don't have to be physical birth and death. Birth and death happen every moment of your life. Every moment you are, a previous version of you is dying, a new version of you is born into a new environment. You were born into this classroom at 7 a.m. today. You were born into this classroom. And what are we? What are we? We are a family of wise yogis. We are a family of wise yogis who have assembled here. Even if not wise, we are a family of yogis. Let's not flatter ourselves. We are a family of yogis who have come here to discuss this knowledge. So if you look at this verse from this angle, you right now have been born into a family of wise yogis. It is a very difficult world to obtain. It is a very difficult environment to obtain. 1 in a million achieve this environment. 1 in a million get the chance to be born into this environment. It is very rare. You are very lucky. You are very lucky that you are in this path. So don't waste it. Don't waste it. It's a God-given chance. And you have worked very hard for it. Nobody else, you yourself, through Janmas, have worked very hard to get here. Don't waste it. So with that thought, with that inspiration, we will meet again tomorrow to continue our journey, to continue our discussion. We will meet again as a family of wise yogis. See you tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.